I'm so close to rebuilding the $6 million Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport.
Only 60 Bugatti Chiron Pur Sports were ever built. After one of them crashed in Miami, the world was down to 59. Bugatti looked at the wreck, called it a total loss, and blocked every dealership on the planet from selling parts for it. So how is that same car, months later, about to wear a $700,000 wide body kit that has never existed on a Chiron before? Let's rewind to how this madness started. In October 2025, a Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport crashed in Miami. This was not some random Chiron. Only 60 Pur Sports were ever built, and this one belonged to content creator Alex Gonzalez, known online as XLXJit. The crash was brutal. The front end was crumpled, the airbags had deployed, carbon fiber panels were cracked, the headlights were destroyed, and the frame itself was twisted. Insurance companies looked at the damage, and the number they came back with was staggering. Repair estimates totaled around $1.7 million in parts alone. That is not the cost of the car. That is just the cost of the pieces needed to make it whole again. Bugatti did not just walk away quietly. The company flew a technician from France specifically to inspect the wreck. His verdict was final: total loss. The car was handed a salvage title and sent toward the Copart auction system, the same place you would find a written-off Honda Civic, except this one had a $6 million hypercar sitting on top of it. Then came the part that turned this from a sad story into a genuine controversy. Bugatti reportedly locked the car's VIN number. In plain terms, that meant no authorized Bugatti dealer anywhere in the world was allowed to sell replacement parts for this specific chassis. The only route back to a factory-quality repair was shipping the car to Bugatti's own facility in France, at a cost that would rival buying an entirely new Chiron. That is when Mat Armstrong entered the picture. Armstrong has built his entire channel on reviving cars that everyone else considers finished. BMWs, Lamborghinis, wrecks other mechanics would not touch. But a Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport was a different tier of challenge entirely. The moment he heard about this car sitting in Miami, he booked a flight across the Atlantic before the insurer could send it to auction and lose it forever. He was racing a clock that most collectors would never even consider racing. So why would Bugatti actively try to stop a car from being fixed? That is the question that turned this into one of the biggest debates in car YouTube. From Bugatti's side, the logic sounds almost reasonable. The Chiron is arguably the most complex road car ever engineered. A carbon monocoque chassis, a quad-turbo 16-cylinder engine, and construction tolerances closer to aerospace than automotive. Mat Rimac, the CEO of Bugatti Rimac, said publicly that repairing this specific car properly would require splitting the chassis in half, and that only 2 facilities on the entire planet are equipped to do that safely. From the outside, though, it looked a lot like gatekeeping. Here was a fully paid-for, privately owned hypercar, and the manufacturer was essentially saying that only they were allowed to decide whether it lived or died. Even after Bugatti refused to help, Armstrong did not walk away. If Bugatti would not sell parts, he would build them. In his own words from one of his videos, everything needed rebuilding, and the plan was to 3D print, fabricate, and fix every single component required using reverse engineering instead of a parts catalog. Think about what that actually means. This is not swapping in an aftermarket bumper on a hatchback. This is scanning a shattered Bugatti component, converting it into a CAD file, and then CNC machining a replacement from scratch, hoping it lines up with tolerances designed by engineers with a nearly unlimited factory budget. Every part that worked was a small miracle. Every part that did not work risked unraveling months of labor in a single afternoon. Here is where the project nearly fell apart completely. The team discovered 2 huge tears in the transmission mounts, damage that had gone unnoticed until they dug deeper into the car's internals. This is exactly the kind of failure Bugatti had warned about, the sort of structural issue that supposedly required a French factory and specialized tooling to even access. Instead, Armstrong's team found a mechanic named Bob at the machine shop, and what he produced next is honestly one of the most impressive parts of this entire saga. Bob built a replacement radiator completely from scratch, without ever being able to 3D scan an original Bugatti part as a reference. Then he spent over 60 hours cutting, shaping, welding, and threading a custom front crash bar by hand. A structural piece for one of the most complex road cars ever built, made in a private workshop with no factory blueprint. And it worked. It bolted directly onto the chassis legs, mounting points and all, as if it had rolled off a Bugatti production line. But the drama did not stop there. At one point, Armstrong accidentally squashed a fuel tank pressure sensor between sections of the car's body while reassembling it. That sounds minor until you realize the fix required rotating a plug that was now physically wedged in place, and the workaround risked forcing the team to undo titanium bolts and potentially split the chassis apart for a second time. In hypercar terms, that is the equivalent of a heart surgeon realizing they left a tool inside the patient. They eventually solved it by swapping the sensor and modifying the access point, but it is a reminder of just how unforgiving this build has been. There is no room for a small mistake when the car underneath you is worth more than most houses. Then, against every expectation, the car actually started. Coolant climbed toward the high 100s, the fans kicked in, the warning lights slowly began clearing, and the Chiron rolled out of the workshop for its very first test drive since the crash. It still had no windshield. It still looked like a science experiment wearing a hypercar's skin. But it drove, and it drove hard enough that Armstrong described feeling the blood leave his feet under acceleration. For a car Bugatti had declared unsalvageable, that first drive was a genuine turning point. Naturally, this story got loud enough that Bugatti's own CEO could not stay silent. Mate Rimac posted a video addressing the situation directly, pushing back on what he called inaccurate claims circulating online about Bugatti's service and parts pricing. He insisted that most of what people were saying about repair costs simply was not true, and he was adamant on one particular point. Bugatti parts, in his words, cannot be 3D printed. That is a direct shot at the entire premise of Armstrong's rebuild, a public disagreement between a manufacturer and a YouTuber playing out in real time, in front of millions of viewers. Here is my honest read on that response. Rimac is not wrong about the engineering complexity. The Chiron genuinely is one of the hardest cars in the world to repair properly, and there are real safety implications in a 1,600 horsepower carbon tub that has been split apart and reassembled outside a factory environment. But there is also something a little uncomfortable about a company with a near-infinite parts and engineering budget publicly downplaying a private individual's attempt to save a car from the crusher, especially after that company had already refused to help. You can defend your engineering standards and still come across as protecting your monopoly on who gets to own a drivable Bugatti. Both of those things can be true at the same time, and I think that tension is exactly why this saga has captured so much attention. Which brings us to right now and the twist nobody saw coming. Instead of simply putting the Chiron back to stock and calling it a win, Armstrong and Alex Gonzalez, the car's original owner, decided to go further. Much further. They are building what has been described as the world's first wide-body Bugatti Chiron, and the centerpiece of that transformation is a body kit reportedly worth $700,000. Let that number sit for a second. $700,000 is more than most supercars cost outright, and here it is being bolted onto a car that Bugatti had already written off as scrap. Think about what this actually represents. Bugatti builds arguably the most exclusive hypercar brand on the planet, specifically because every Chiron looks like every other Chiron, aside from paint and options chosen from an approved factory list. Bugatti does not sanction body kits. It does not sanction wide body conversions. The brand's entire value proposition rests on scarcity and control, the same control that led them to lock this car's VI in the first place. So when Armstrong and Gonzalez fit a custom wide body kit that costs as much as a house, they are not just customizing a car. They are creating something that has never existed in the Chiron's entire production history, on a chassis the manufacturer tried to make sure it would never move again. I think this is the moment the story flips from redemption arc to genuine statement piece. Up until now, every act in this saga was about survival, keeping the car alive, keeping the project alive, proving Bugatti wrong one stubborn part at a time. The wide body kit changes the entire goal. This is no longer about restoring what Bugatti built. It is about building something Bugatti never would have allowed in the first place, using a car the company had already given up on. So let's talk about the practical side, because fitting a wide body kit to a totaled hypercar is nowhere near as simple as bolting on some fender flares. A body kit at this price point is not a generic fiberglass add-on from a catalog. At this level, we are almost certainly talking about a bespoke carbon fiber program designed specifically around the Chiron's monocoque, likely requiring new cooling paths for that quad-turbo W16, revised aerodynamics to keep the car stable given how much top speed a Chiron is theoretically capable of, and an enormous amount of fitment work to make brand new panels marry up with a chassis that has already been split, repaired, and reassembled once by hand. Every one of those steps carries risk a factory-built Chiron never faces. This chassis has already been through structural repair with handmade parts. Layering a wider body structure on top of that is a second full-scale engineering project stacked on the first. If the fitment is off by even a few millimeters in the wrong place, given the tolerances a car like this demands at speed, that is not a cosmetic problem. That is potentially a safety problem. This is precisely why a project like this generates so much debate in the comments section. Some viewers see pure innovation, proof that independent mechanics can outthink a trillion-dollar parent company's bureaucracy. Others see reckless overreach, modifying a car that was already pushed past its intended engineering envelope once already. So where does this actually leave the car? And more importantly, where does it leave the argument between Armstrong and Bugatti? Realistically, once this wide body kit goes on, resale value through any conventional channel becomes almost irrelevant. No factory-certified Bugatti dealer will ever service this chassis. Its provenance will forever carry the salvage title, the VIN lock, and a build history that reads more like a fabrication project than a restoration. But that may be exactly the point. This car was never going back to being just another Chiron Pur Sport. The moment Bugatti locked its identity out of the system, its future stopped being about factory approval and started being about becoming something unrepeatable. And that, to me, is the real story underneath all the drama. Every hypercar manufacturer wants you to believe that only they can be trusted to keep their own machines alive. Bugatti's stance here was not unreasonable from an engineering standpoint, but it revealed something bigger about how these brands view ownership once you have signed the check. Mat Armstrong's answer to that, culminating in a $700,000 body kit that Bugatti never designed and never approved, is arguably the loudest rebuttal an independent mechanic has ever given a hypercar manufacturer. Whether you think that is brave engineering or reckless bravado probably depends on how much you trust a workshop over a factory floor. But there is no denying that this Chiron, once left for dead on an insurance lot in Miami, is about to become one of the most unique Bugattis on the planet, built entirely on the terms of the people who refuse to let it die. So here is the real question worth sitting with. Did Bugatti's refusal to help actually force a more interesting car into existence, one the brand's own rulebook would never have permitted? Drop your take in the comments and let me know whether you think this wide-body Chiron is genius or a step too far. If you want to keep following this saga as it develops, subscribe, because this is nowhere near finished.